Yeah. So what we are going to do is we are going to look 1 year ahead today,
Mhm.
and whenever we think about future, we kind of get bogged down with details. So we are not going to go too detailed. We are going to see how we can think in a more of an overall manner, and still have something concrete when we plan for our future. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and while I'm doing that, just everybody in the chat, if they want to share uh, in general, what are they thinking about by the end of this year, uh, the milestones, or by next 1 year, whatever thoughts that are going on in your head. Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
We're just getting started. I'm just sharing my screen in a bit, and we'll get started. So,
How are you?
yay. So we are the tool that you see on the screen. And again, I know we have a lot of tool lovers over there, framework lovers. So this framework is called backcasting. And it's a wonderful, wonderful tool which you may want to use in your work as well if you end up liking it. And normally we use this tool for long-term planning, like for many. It can even be used for 20 to 30 years in ahead. But in our case, we're using it for 1 year in advance. But yeah, consider using it for your work. And we are going to combine it with one very, very well-known tool within Futures Thinking field. It's called FuturesCon. We're going to partially use it, not uh, to the extent that it's there. And yeah, and so there are two tools we are going to use today. One is a literati tool, and then this is the futures thinking tool that we are going to use. So we are going to do something different in this exercise in today's session. Let's do a Miro interactive activity. So the visual that you see on the screen, how many of you are aware of Hero's Journey? Wow. Wow, we already have 3 people. Hey! Four people. Awesome. That's good to know. So, does anybody want to explain it to for everybody what Hero's Journey is? Um, Anybody wants to give it a shot? Yes, Julianne, go ahead.
I can try. It is essentially, I think it's even up to 12 steps or something. I can never remember the number. That is what a hero goes through from the first time we meet them to them becoming the hero that we then celebrate. And it's, as you can see, which is perfectly done, there are different steps that can happen to them. And so there's a call for adventure. Then usually they refuse because the challenge is too big, the problem is too big, whether it's they don't believe in themselves or whether it's they have other things to do, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then what happens, they usually meet a mentor, or that can be even an inspiration. So it doesn't have to be another human being.
Yeah.
And then they kind of step into, as it says, the beginning of the transformation. And then they meet different hurdles, tests, helpers, people that accompany them along the way, or even fantastical beings, depending on the story you're telling. And then, yeah, at the bottom, they really go through, yeah, oh, wow, it even says the abyss, the death, and the rebirth. So it really means that is the key transformation that is happening, where they learn the lesson that they need to learn, or they make the change they need to change. Yeah, they need to make. And after that, they have new skills, new abilities, even new belief sets, depending on what the issue is. And they learn, so to speak, they learn what their own superpower is. And that, I think that picture shows it really well, because I always think a really good superpower is humility, and not being, like, not be my, the superpower is not that you're the strongest, but it's realizing, oh, maybe I need other people along the way. And then they return to the place that they come from, and they realize that they've changed. They realize that they became more powerful, more competent, whatever else. So that's like the classic, but a little more complex hero's journey that you find in most movies, most stories, and maybe even in your own life, right?
Exactly. Wow, so beautifully explained. And that was the whole point, basically. So, because everybody else is aware, Pooja is only 19 years old. So, just for, so Pooja, I hope that was clear. So, basically, this is what we're going to do in this first activity is we are going to look at, consider our own life and consider which stage of the journey we are on. So, the premise is basically uh, we are not always on a hero's journey. There are times in our life when we are called to be on hero's journey, and especially with all that happened last year, many of us, especially all of us who are on the leading edge, are kind of on in a hero's journey in one or other area of our life. So for the and one additional thing that I would add in this framework is basically to know if you are on a hero's journey or not is basically to this differentiation basically. So so there's an ordinary world that we are living in, and the way to look at it is basically every day you're doing this, and like days look normal, and suddenly something happens, and then you're called to this adventure, and then you go through this whole journey, right? And then you make it to the special world, and you're going in a special world. All of these things at the bottom, they look like you're descending, but you're not actually descending. You have already made it to a magical world. Okay. So if you look at different movies, Harry Potter made it to Hogwarts, and uh, almost all the Hollywood movies are based on this framework. And so are our lives, like Julian mentioned. So I'm going to share the the link. And what I want you to do is reflect first on which area of your life have you been called to be on hero's journey. Is it relationships? For some people, has it been work and your contribution? Are you being called uh, to contribute in a bigger way? Or maybe you have already been on that path, so that doesn't count for you. Or maybe for a lot of people, they are being called to move to a more optimal environment. That theme has been going on for a lot of people as well. So just think which area of your life you have been called to go on a hero's journey with. Let me share the direct link to this board itself. Um, and okay, use the other link, actually the one that I just pinned. And all you have to do is if you look on the screen, this location icon, just put it whichever area of your life and wherever you think which stage you are in, just drag it there and write your name on it by double clicking on it. Okay, cool. And if you face any issue, just feel free to let me know on Miro. Then I'll we have around 3 minutes. So if you want to reflect also first, and then which area, um, and if you feel there is more than one area, then feel free to drag another one and position that one as well, wherever that fits.
Deepshika, do you mind, repeating for me what we're doing? Because I was so caught up trying to open Miro, I missed the brief.
Yeah. So what we are doing is we are trying to think right now in this moment. What have we been called to lately? Like which area of our life did the universe called us to step up in? And that where so basically what's happening in the planet at the moment is the old structures are dismantling for the universe as well as in our personal life, and the new we are called to move into the new, and so we might be on different stage along that journey. So which area was that where we are feeling that things are breaking and new is forming, and where are we along that journey? And those of you who, if you already did that, so then keep looking at the next stage that's on the framework for you. What's coming, what's emerging for you next after this phase? Yeah. Awesome. 30 more seconds. All right. Who would like to share their insights? And by the way, if at all you want me to edit out any parts, if you don't want it to be shared in recording, do let me know and I'll cut it later. So feel free to share anything you want to share and I'll edit out.
I mean, as long as it remains in this online wall.
And that's beautiful, right? And refusing the call is also a very, very important step, right? We need to that going back and forth until we cross the threshold. So I think that's important because something has to happen before we cross that threshold, and it's totally all right. So maybe the mentor will show up, and that would be the signal to now cross that you've crossed the threshold, or something else which would make you feel okay, now's the time for me. So it's totally all right to steep in this area to get comfortable and then make the jump. And that was one of the things that we discussed in the last one, right? So these are the leaps of faith. And if we make the leap too early, then there's those three reactions: fight, flight, freeze might happen. So you may want to, it's all right to take your time and adjust your timing accordingly. So I think that was very beautiful. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Anybody else wants to share? Okay, so I'll share. So for me, back in 2020, again, I was a part of some virtual retreat, and I was listening to a lot of people of what the challenges they were going through, and all of these workshops were in my mind, and I was having this desperate energy that I really want to be out there and really want to be conducting this, and I was thinking, I'm here. That I have everything ready and I'm ready to contribute all of these things to the world, which I was in some ways. But my aha moment came when I realized, no, I'm actually here. I'm here where I'm meeting the friends zone. I'm here like this, all these people I'm meeting at the moment, the collaborations with them, the relationships with them, that is going to really take my offerings to a completely different level, instead of me thinking that I just want to do it and stuff. And that was a big aha. Like that was from the desperation energy. I was like, relaxation energy, that I'm here, not there. And I just need to build really good relationships with these people. And because it's a cycle, it doesn't feel like you're lagging behind. And for me, the conclusion was also like for the whole. So Jen, you completed one whole cycle in 1 year. That's amazing in itself. But and sometimes you, depending on what area, you may be just in one phase. You may want to deepen into in the whole year or 1-2 years. Or it could be a bigger cycle. Or it could be 1 year cycle. right? And similarly, I think a lot of us would have gone through this whole cycle in one or the other areas already in the past. So I think I had a spiritual journey. Most people have. Where a spiritual teacher shows up, and then you have a completely different thing, like the world altogether. Okay. So all right, let's move on to the next section. But do remember this uh, evolutionary cycle, basically. So the questions remain: which evolutionary cycle you are in at the moment, and then what is emerging next for you. Okay, let's move to the next framework, and the next framework will not feel very connected to it, and so it might feel slightly non-linear, but we will connect the dots at the towards that. Okay. Okay. So now we get to this tool called backcasting. And what we have to do is, I just want you to think in your journal, what we are doing is backcasting, just like the term suggests. We know forecasting, right? And in forecasting, we take what's at the moment, and then we project it in the future, and then try to predict what might happen in the future. In backcasting, we start from the future, and then we trace it back to the present. Okay, so what I just want you to do for the next few minutes is just imagine it's 1 year from now. Okay, and so we are in July 2022, and so 2021 has already ended. You've by the end of 2021, you have had your reflections. There are things you have achieved, things we are taking forward in next year, and we have up-leveled in next year, came up with more new decisions, and we're doing all the things we do at the beginning of the year and those kind of things. And now we are in the middle of 2022. We are well settled in the new energies of 2022, and that's where we are. And we want to take a snapshot of what we are doing at the moment. Okay, so I just want you to, I'll keep giving few prompts. So start journaling in your session, in your journals. So 2022, if we look at the energy of this year, again, we have lots of twos. So 2 in general in numerology and stuff represents collaborations. So if you look at numerology wise, this year again, just like 2020 is calling us to collaborate a lot. Okay, so whatever we learned in 2020, we are taking it way bigger in 2022 in terms of collaborations, at least in terms of people who we met our tribes, and now it's time to collaborate with those tribes in a really big way. Okay, so just take a snapshot of what you're doing in 2022. So to think about that, just think if you had to just take a like an energetic snapshot, like what's your internal state like? Okay, so that's your prompt for the next few seconds, and then I'll keep adding more. How is this your future version really feeling, and from a day-to-day basis, what's their state of mind mostly like?
Do you want us to write in our notebooks, did you say?
Yes.
In our journals, not on the board?
Yeah, in your journal.
Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yes. So yes. So for your future self, what's the internal state they're mostly in on a day-to-day basis? If you close your eyes and try to picture this person that you have become in 2022, July 2022, what are the states that they are normally in? Are they very serene? Are they very energetic? Are they rushed?
Is it what you prefer or what you think?
Sorry, say that again.
Is it what you want, or is it what you
no
think
it's like whatever is coming in your head, like when you feel try to picture that person, what's the first impression that's coming? And it's all right if it's not coming as a very positive, like not a utopian vision, that's all right, but whatever you feel, first image.
Yeah, I think when you said serene, that really appealed to me. And then I said serene, confident, knowing, calm, and just having clarity. Is that the sort of thing you mean?
Yeah, possible. Yeah, all of those things. Yeah, if they are coming naturally. Yeah.
Like your mind state that
Yes,
you want
exactly.
for yourself in a year.
Yes, exactly. Your energetic snapshot, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll keep adding more prompts. So next, I want you to think of what's the norm for them now. So first think of, okay, all the identities, like who, and we will be doing identity work in the next session, and it's a pretty exciting one. So at the moment, I just want you to think of, so if you were, um, so let's say, so for me, facilitator is one of the identity I'm on an evolutionary cycle of, or being a leader or being an entrepreneur, or personal life wise, you can just look at what all different identities you are in. So so for Pooja, it might be being a student, right? So from become adulting in the world, like becoming an adult, and how does that look like entering in the world and those kind of things. So think of personalities, basically that identities that you are embodying at the moment, like 3-4 different identities in different areas of your life, and get them in July 2022 you have become it, or you are in some cycle of that hero's journey for that, right? So if you are going to be a published author, maybe you are already a published author right now, or you are in the process of writing your book, or whatever you want it to be by July 2022, right? So just see what that personality, what's the norm for that personality. Okay. So for example, right now all these Zoom calls and stuff were, at one time we were adjusting to this new schedule. Now all of this is a norm, very comfortable and all those things. So what's the norm? Like instead of looking at milestone days for that person, we are looking at what's the day in the life for them look like. So what's their norm? What are the activities they do on a daily basis? What type of meetings they attend? What type of hobbies they have, and those kind of things. It's your journal. So whatever you feel like venturing, like with this prompt, wherever you want to take it, feel free to take it.
Deepshika, do you mind repeating that prompt?
Yes, sorry, I should be writing that. Okay, so just think of a day in the life of, just think of a day in life of your future self. What are they doing on a day-to-day basis? Right, and try to keep the hero's journey in your head as well. Like maybe they're at the, if they're learning skills, if they're at the learning skills phase, then what are the new things they are learning? So maybe they're learning to be a really shrewd businessman person, or they are learning to be like a really prolific author, or they're learning to be amazing at giving global interviews and things like that, whatever. Or maybe they are mastering some internal emotional state. They're learning to be calmer, whatever is coming in your head. Or so just through this hero's journey, what all stage they might be in, and if they are in that stage, what are they doing? And I'll keep giving more, because it's just, the point is basically to get a picture, a feel of that thing rather than a list. So just an image of what might be happening then. Okay, so I'll give next prompt, and that is who's your tribe now? Okay, who is your tribe now? Who are you hanging out with? Who are you collaborating with? And who are you contributing to? I'll ping that in the chat. But basically, who's your tribe now? And probably one last one on this is basically, where are they in terms of their vision, right? So we all have our vision, whether contribution vision or just a life vision, just a vision on what we want to contribute to the world. So where are they in their journey of that contribution? How far ahead, or what are they doing? Like, how are they doing it? Their contribution work in the world.
I'm sorry, I missed that last one. What was it?
So where are you on your, in terms of your vision with the world, in terms of your vision for contribution in the world? So it's basically, we are all born with some knowing of what we want to do. So if we are to be honest with ourselves, where are we in July 2022 in terms of our contribution, or in just in general with the vision that we hold for the world?
Got it.
So whether you were able to fully fill that or not, the main idea is basically to get a feel of that person rather than a list of. So the initial few iteration I ran this, including me, what we used to do was everybody would just say everything that they are currently pursuing. They would just flip it around and say they're done it by that time, and we wouldn't really get a picture of the feel of that thing. And that's why we started with Hero's Journey, because it won't be like everything is sorted by July 2022. We will be in some or the other cycle. We would be growing in some area. We would have achieved in some other area. We would be interacting with completely different set of people in some other area of our life. Those kind of things. Right. So I hope we have some picture around it. If anybody wants to share anything that stood out for them, or if they want to share. Okay, no worries. So let's move to the now part of it. So now we filled this part. Okay, now we're coming to July 2021, where we are right now. And let's take just a snapshot of, we already know what we are doing. There are some questions on the screen, but you don't necessarily need to think along those lines. But basically just take a snapshot on where you are at the moment. So similar questions like, what's the now right now for you? And what are you enjoying, and who's the tribe right now for you, right? So basically these two questions mainly. What's the norm for you right now? Like, what does your normal day look like? And then who is your tribe at the moment? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that, and we'll then move to the next point. And also, how are you growing right now in this phase? Like, what's uncomfortable and what's making you expand at this point? So, how are you growing right now? What's uncomfortable? Awesome. So, what we do now is basically now the question is from here, um, from here to there, what's required? What has to be true for us to reach from here to there? And we would want to think in terms of what breakthroughs are required along the journey for us to become or start living this life, right? So the breakthroughs could be things that for which we need to do some internal work on. So if you look back to any of your desire, which you have it from a long time but hasn't manifested yet. So for me, it's world traveling. It hasn't happened yet. It's been from many years, and what it really requires is not it doesn't have one breakthrough that's required. There are multiple breakthroughs, and they need to happen in order. Like the financial thing probably should be the first breakthrough. The second thing would be whatever other excuses I might be using to not do that. Okay, so similarly, what just in your journal, create a list, just write probably non-stop. Or what we can do is, if everybody is okay with that, I lost the video. Yeah, so or what we can do is, we can either can also go in breakout rooms, and if you want to think out loud with others in terms of what all other breakthroughs required along this journey, and the number of breakthroughs could be anything. It could be just one, it could be 5, 6 in between these. So the black lines that you are seeing are basically representing the breakthroughs, and you may have as many as you feel like it. And also the spacing of these lines could be, maybe there's one breakthrough as soon as you do that, and the other one would be very close by, or it could be further away. The spacing also you can adjust for a visual representation. So some examples. So I did it with one of my friends, and so for her the breakthroughs were pretty simple one. Like so she was applying for citizenship in some country. So her first breakthrough would have been learning that language, which she was already preparing for. So clearing that exam and being really fluent with the language, that was first breakthrough. As soon as she does that breakthrough, then the second breakthrough is close by, which is she applying for jobs within that country. She was already living in that country, but then applying for some specific jobs within that country, and then that would be second breakthrough, and those kind of things. These are examples of breakthrough in just one area of life or for one intention, but your breakthrough could be haphazard as well. It could be maybe you just need to cross that next income ceiling for something else to happen, start happening. Or it could be so that could be from one area, then maybe in terms of relationship, something some other breakthrough needs to happen, or maybe you need to move to some other location. Those could be some other breakthroughs. So shall we do a breakout room where you're just thinking out loud in terms of what breakthroughs are required, as long as everybody's comfortable sharing with otherwise we can just journal. Breakout sounds good. If raise your breakout sounds good. Awesome. Let's do a breakout room. Okay. Yes. Did everybody receive the message? Yeah. Hi everyone, how was it?
The time is too short.
Were everybody able to share, or was only one person able to share? Okay. Anybody wants to share anything that stood out for them, or any? Yeah, Andrea, go ahead.
I don't mind. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of Sally, but I probably can speak on behalf of Sally too and say that I was very much in the same team as her, and we realised to get a breakthrough, we don't necessarily know what the breakthrough is yet. Well, the breakthrough is achieving our vision and our goals, and to do that we need discipline. So discipline and focus, just doing it always comes back to that. It's just that whole JFDI thing, isn't it? So I don't need to say what that is, do I? That wasn't just aware. It's just do it, basically. Yeah.
And so the two things which actually this framework highlights, or at least the changes that I've seen by using it, is basically, so yeah, so sometimes we are so busy with daily life that we don't stop and just get the breakthrough done, because until and unless the breakthrough is done, we would not move to the next stage. And sometimes those breakthroughs are the inner work, like we have to overcome a fear of something or those kind of things, right? Until and unless we stop or take a retreat or immerse in something completely, that's not going to happen, and things will look pretty much the same. And then the second thing is, what we do is, because we all are changing so rapidly now, we are accomplishing things much faster, and our focus is changing very rapidly. So we are growing one way right now in this phase, and as soon as we accomplish that breakthrough, the growth is going to happen through a different way, right? We are expanding in a different way. Earlier, let's say, conducting sessions expanded me, and now it's more the business side of things. That's where I'm growing. If I can take Julian's example from the first session, is that whole, like one of the themes was boundaries. So in some ways, boundary was the growth area or expansion area, and maybe at some point it might be a different theme altogether. So probably that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out a document which would have just a list of questions which would let us define each phase. So as soon as you achieve a breakthrough, then you just write it down again in terms of, okay, what is this phase about now? And what is this phase about now? So for each phase, as soon as you cross one milestone now, what is it about? Okay, so that might help, but that's more of a doing it on your own and keep doing it. It's just a 5-minute document, and you can keep doing that every time you achieve your breakthrough. Okay, and now we go. Okay, but with this, there's something we are missing when we do this exercise, and who might want to tell me what might that be? Like, there's something we are assuming here. Any thoughts? Doing this exercise and figuring things out, yes, may be helpful, but there's something we are missing when we do this exercise. Any guesses?
I think
I know,
for
right?
me,
Huh?
yeah, I don't know, I'll give it a shot, but I think sometimes because I am always a planner, and sometimes when you plan things, you kind of forget to be grateful for where you are right now on your journey. So I think sometimes we have to always, after this, just meditate and fill our cup with just so much gratitude for where we are right now, and be grateful for what we've already achieved so far, and that we're doing the best that we can.
Yes, yeah, perfect. And so the frame, the questions that I'll send about what phase we are in, that would cover some of it, like what are we enjoying. So the appreciation part in it, yes. So yeah, that would be covered. What else? What else are we missing by doing the planning exercise like this one?
Like we fail to reflect on things and we're just planning. It's like that.
Yeah, but we'll reflect on things by through the questionnaires that I'll send. And in general, we all of us are anyways consciously doing this series and other things on our own as well. I think so. Probably that will take care of it. But yeah, maybe that also. If we are just planning. What else? One last guess, maybe. Any guess? No bad answers.
I always feel like a lot of times we create very idolized versions of where we want to be. And it's not, and we don't really ask us, why do we want that, or what for do we want that?
Yeah.
And then it's like, because we are not that person that we are striving to be for, there are reasons for that. Because if it would be easy and really what we wanted, then we would probably maybe just be doing it already.
Yeah, that is also one of the things, and that was one of the bias like we all have, that I tried to. That's why the whole hero's journey framework was introduced, at least to some extent, to take care of it. Because initial iterations, like I said, everybody was coming up with this really ideal version where everything is hunky-dory, and then we realized probably not. So yeah. Okay, so one of the things also, what it does, it's not, so it is assuming that we know the future, right? So all the things that we have planned, like this breakthrough I need, or this is what I want to achieve, somebody did touch on this, is basically we are assuming that we know how future is going to unfold in some ways. Like there are some uncertainties, like we know we will meet new people, and we know we'll have new opportunities, and we'll make decisions then, and we'll act accordingly. But something like COVID has taught us there could happen something which is so different that we have never imagined before, and it could be a completely different reality, right? And so it may not necessarily have to be something negative. It could also be something like maybe all those aliens news that we are hearing, maybe aliens come along and they collaborate with us, and all these kind of new things start happening, right? And we haven't really known what kind of future that would be, right? So to take care of that, what we say in, so basically, if I can use the terminologies from the last session, is basically this particular vision of the future is based on the knowns, right? These are, we're making all of these reflections and decisions and thoughts and breakthroughs about from the knowns, all the things that we know, which does include things like serendipity and new people and new opportunities, right? But then there are things which are unknown, and if those unknown happen, then what do we do? Okay, so there is a very, very simple way to kind of reflect on that, and we'll cover that in the next super quickly. And it's basically, first of all, let's go back to the first framework, right? So what we did was, so just like Eskimos have different words for ice, futurists have different type of words for different type of futures. Okay, so I'm not going to cover all of those, but just the ones that we need. So the blue line that you see is like a straight path, and this is our current baseline future, and that is pretty much what we thought about. It's pretty good in itself. It's pretty awesome. We are all, most of us, super successful, and this is already, so this is like this is the baseline. Like from now, if we continue progressing forward in this path, at least this much we'll achieve. Now, what might happen in the future as we make more decisions, as new things come up, we might either end up in a lower reality or upper realities, right? There are lots of different possibilities available. If we end up in a lower, more of a dystopian kind of a reality, that doesn't fully happen because we are conscious. So even if we go down a bit, we can come up, and I'll show you that. Or we can move to a more utopian kind of a, like even a better vision than what we have already planned for ourselves, given new things coming up. Okay, and there's a very small way to ensure, because we don't know what exactly is going to happen in this timeline, but to take care of that, there's just one simple prompt which we'll cover in the 3 minutes before we end, and it's a very simple thing. It's basically, if you have to live, so this is the known reality that we projected at the moment, and it's pretty awesome in itself. And then there's one future which could be even better than this, which is our highest potential. Okay, and I just want you to picture what's your, like, a really high vision of your future is. Like, if you are basically, if there are no limitations, if you are a divine self, like the future that you will live, just get an essence of it. You don't need to know how it looks like. And the future that you just created for yourself, which is amazing in itself. Between these two, if you have to jump between these two, what's the higher choice you need to make? Okay, So the prompt is, what is the higher choice that you need to make? And that higher choice is an abstract word. Okay, so the word, it could be, do I need to be more bold? Do I need to be more serene? Do I need to be more, do I need to accept more resources or be more supported? Any other word that is coming in your head. So this is the last prompt, and just give it a thought. What might be, what will take you from an already awesome reality that you've thought of to a completely your superhero version, your superman version. What's that higher choice? All right. With that, it's an end to the session. And if anybody wants to share, they can. And I'm also going to hang back for like 5 more minutes if anybody else just wants to chit chat. And but if you need to drop off, feel free to drop off. But yeah, maybe from at least from one person if they want to share anything, if something stood out for them, or in general anything they want to say. Yes, Julianne, go ahead.
I have rather have a question, because I tend to be, when I envision something, I tend to envision something really big and really grand. So I don't have the problem to imagine a more creative future. I'd rather have the problem to imagine a future that I can actually realize. So I wonder what your thoughts are on this, or your advice how to deal with it through this process.
Yeah, I think it's grounding that the reality we want to live in. I think it's especially now with the new paradigm that we are living in, things, at least what I'm experiencing and what most people are experiencing, things are manifesting much faster and the rules have changed. Right. So something in the previous paradigm we might have to get more practical about, or we might meet more hurdles in terms of maybe other people are not recognizing our work, so we are doing it alone, or maybe things are taking time. Now I feel like most of those hurdles we used to face earlier are gone. So it's all right if we are already thinking way ahead. Maybe we don't need to put those additional restrictions on our way. And I think that's where just holding our vision just as it is without stepping it down, that's all our work is. Probably the universe will take care of it, maybe, but I don't know if that made sense or not.
Yeah, Julianne, I'm kind of similar to you as well. And what has helped me is just to, like, you think of your year, to actually put a timeline to the tasks. So you kind of put a bit of a grounding baseline to how long each achievement would actually take time, because I underestimate how much time it actually takes to fulfill each part. So sometimes when I split it into, let's say, sections of, okay, this first quarter is I'm going to achieve this, and put some more structure to it, it kind of helps to not become overwhelmed by the really grand vision. Because people tend to underestimate how much they can do, but I tend to overestimate how much I can do. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if numerology and all resonates with anybody, then you can also look up your universal year. So what's going to be your universal year next year, and what's going to be your personal year, and those numbers also tell you the cycle that you'll be in that year. It has for me, but then you don't have to believe it if you don't believe it.
But I I get
Yes.
the feeling that you're referring a lot to that COVID made life easier and gives more opportunities. It's not my experience, I can tell you.
Yeah, I'm oversimplifying by saying that statement, of course, that it made things easier. No, but what I would say is, in different areas of our life, each of us, there's some area where we are thriving because of COVID, and maybe there are other areas where we are feeling the restrictions, right? So we need to look at that one area where we're thriving, and why are we thriving there? And it may be we are thriving over there because we already moved to the new paradigm rules, or we were already ahead of the curve, or we were thinking ahead, or whatever it could be, right? And it is obviously going to vary on lots of different factors, right? Uh, for some industries, we can't help it. Like some industries, they just went away. So, yeah, and one area of our life might impact other areas as well. If yeah, so but yeah, I totally take your point that that's super important to acknowledge as well. Yeah, it didn't really make overall. It didn't make life easier for sure.
But yeah, you're also right that you should find the one thing that it did make it easier or better or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, good to hear that. Anybody else wants to share anything? Okay, so Jen, you gonna say something, or am I just no? Sorry. Yeah. All right then. Thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see you in the next session. Okay. Bye. 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 Have a good day.
Thank you. Lovely to see you all. Bye.